This is an intro to today's video. Um, what I've done is I've tried to develop a wireless remote hoist control for my stacker that I built on my ATVs up there in the other garage. Backstory on that is this garage, it's a two-car garage. It's connected to the house. It's heated and air conditioned and all that happy stuff. And it's pretty well outfitted. It's got the lathe, milling machine, radial arm saw, big drill press, band saw, table saw. This is my Christmas present to myself. It's a planer, a DeWalt 735X planer. Anyhow, what happened was I like to use this space to work on. I have a hot rod that I don't like leaving out in the rain, so I'd keep it in here. So everything that I had, all my tools and everything, I had to scoot to one place. And when everything was in here, you couldn't throw a 5-gallon bucket of water in the air and a drop of it hit the ground. So I decided, what the heck, I'm gonna build another garage out back. So I had a steel building put up. It's 20 by 25. It's a little bit bigger than the two-car garage, but not a lot, just so I could move all the crap out of here and store it up there. Things happened and more parts were collected, more tools were collected, and I had to start going to the meetings, Tool Fetish Anonymous. So I found it. That wasn't a big help because TFA, these guys aren't there to help you. They're there to encourage you to buy more stuff, which is what we do. I mean, that's kind of our happy place. Anyhow, once I moved everything up there, I created space here, but then things kept piling up. I kept buying more tools. I needed more space. So then I needed to go up there and organize that other garage to create more space up there, especially since I drug that old snapper riding lawnmower I had stored under the house for almost 30 years and restored that thing. I didn't want to put it back under the house. I wanted to put it somewhere where it would be protected. So I needed to clear some floor space up there so I could keep it up there. So I built a stacker to put two of our bigger ATVs on top of each other with a Harbor Freight hoist to drag the thing up. That hoist is exactly like that one, 880-pound double lift. It's a pretty capable little thing. So, but see, I'm only 5'8", 5'9". Once I had the hoist up above, that silly little connector that they give you to the hand controller, I'd have to stand on my tippy toes and hold it to get dead gun ATV up the ramp to get up on the shelf. So I thought, I'm going to install a wireless remote. So I started watching people's videos on YouTube to find out how to do it. Obviously you can do it because these guys did it. Well, about 3 or 4 of the different applications, 2 of them specifically used exactly this same hoist, and they had exactly the same hand controller that I had, but they connected them up differently. One of them just wired a little remote up with his hand controller, and it worked fine. That was a guy named Mike H. He did a really excellent job on his video, and his worked fine. I tried that. I think I have the same receiver that he has. I couldn't get it to work. So then I watched another guy, Mike White, I think was his name. I'll have to look that up. So I'll confirm that and put it in the description. But he used a set of external relays that he had for HVAC control. So I thought, that's the idea. So I ordered the 2 single pole double throw relays to do the same thing, to take the place of the hand controller. I wired it up the same way he did. That didn't work either. So I was just scratching my head. I was trying to be lazy and just find somebody who had done it. I would just follow their example and get the same result. Well, that didn't happen. So I ended up having to take the hand controller and not the hand controller, but the receiver, and take my meter and figure out what all the different poles did when you activated one switch or the other switch. I finally found out that it was going to be a lot simpler than I thought, and so my application was very simple. I wish I'd done this in the beginning and not wasted all the time and energy following other people's examples, because obviously their setup is different from mine. My setup wouldn't work with the way they did it. So anyway, this is what I did. It's simple, it works. So if you have the same thing and this is what you want to do, this probably will work for you. Thanks. Today's project is going to be adding wireless remote to my Hoist. It's 3rd of December. It's winter time. There's nothing growing. We had 2 inches of rain here yesterday and the day before. And there's my across the street neighbor cutting his grass again. He cuts that dead gum yard every frickin' day in the summertime. There's nothing growing, and he's out there cutting grass today. I think he's hiding behind the bushes. He sees me watching him. Nope, there he is. Oh well. My complaint about this Hoist is I had to mount it so high for my ATV stacker that it's difficult to reach it. I have to stand right over here on the corner to get it. So I'm going to add a wireless remote up there. And thanks to Mike H and his channel on setting his up and showing exactly how to wire it up. So that's going to be my trick today. I've got to run 120 volt AC wire up there, put an electrical box up there with the plug on it so I can plug that thing in. And I'm going to do mine a little different from the way he did. I'll show you shortly. What I have is a junction box there and an AC outlet. I'm going to come out of that junction box and go right up that pole right there and add an outlet right up there. Should make it simple. Next step is to mount the receiver right there. Now what I did different from what Mike H did, he was kind enough to show imagery of what he had done to hook up the wires from his remote to this guy, which nobody else did. He actually cut the end of the wire off and then looped them and connected them straight to these things, straight on. I decided, just in case something happens and this doesn't work well, I'm going to leave my hand controller to where I can unplug it from here and plug it back into it, because all it is a double pole, double throw switch with 6 terminals on the back, and each of those terminals have these on it. I think one of the 6 is a jumper. So these 2 will go to the blue and white wires on the hand controller. There's a red wire in the hand controller. There's a black wire in the hand controller. And Mike showed you had to connect the neutral wire back to the AC. Now what he did, he actually cut into the AC cord that went to the motor and stripped it back and patched into the AC, to the neutral there. I opted not to do that. I'm going to leave both my cords intact and not cut into them. So when I wired up this, I took an extra, this is 2 14 gauge wires, and put a terminal on it, and I connect those to the neutral from the AC outlet to this. This will be a dedicated AC outlet. So this is supposedly direct bury cable, so I'm not putting it in any conduit. It's going to go around through that, down underneath, and connect to a junction box down there. Now, I've got WAGO terminals in there. They're three terminal WAGO, 1 in and 2 out. I'm going to replace those with 1 in and 4 out because I don't have any 1 in and 3 out. That would be ideal, but I don't have any of those. I do have a bunch of the 1 in and 4 out. So I'm going to replace those 3 terminals in there to connect this guy up to the AC. Next thing I got to do is figure out which of the breakers controls this circuit right here and turn that off before I get in there and start poking around so I don't fry myself. Let's make sure I've got all these jumpers set up right. This red wire is jumpered from that pin to this pin and to this upper right hand corner right there. So it looks like the blue connects to that terminal, and that terminal. The white and black, which are the AC, hot, and neutral, connect up to the 2 centers. The red wire from the cable plugs into the lower right. So that ought to take care of all 4 of those guys. Now, see if I can get them undone. Okay, so that's all up there right now. I got the cables kind of pushed out of the way. I'll finish tying those up when I get this done. So what I need to do now is find out what circuit that is on. I've got the shop light plugged into that outlet. So let's go over here and see which of these turns that off. This is a 220 for the welder. This is the light. It's going to be one of these 3. Let's see, was that it? Nope. That it? Nope. It's got to be that one. Yep, that's it. So I turned off the UPS to my little camera right there that's taking time lapse of the season changes again this year, so it should be okay, I think. But as soon as I get this over here rewired, and let's see, what am I doing here? These are those WAGO terminals. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll take 3 of these to replace those 3. So I've got to take this cable, bring it in through a box hole right here, put a clamp on it, strip it back, and then connect them. I'll be back. Okay, back to it. I only had to replace 2 of the 3-ways because one of them goes through a red wire, which I'm not using for anything. This has got the ground, and this is hot, and this is neutral, and now this goes all the way up and goes up to it. That's all been wire tied off all the way up to there. So now, let's hook our shop light back up. Well, let's go see. We can plug or turn back on the breaker. Well, breaker didn't trip. That's a good sign. See if the shop light comes on. Shop light comes on. That means that outlet is powered. Okay, so that should work now. Now I got to go find the remote and test it and see if that works. Well, that setup didn't work. So I abandoned that idea I didn't record the failure of it, I don't think. Maybe I did, I may have got it on a little sports cam, I'll have to look and see. But that didn't work. So I went to the next guy, and his name is Joe White, not Mike White. I got the second part right. He actually used the terminals on the other side of the remote. Now I looked at them, and all it looked to me like they were limit switches. They looked like they were more inputs than outputs. Now the receiver I have may be different from his, and this guy was digging a hole in his garage. I don't know what the heck he was doing. He had a gigantic square hole cut through the concrete, and he was down in there, and he had this boom crane that, of course, when you're down in a hole, you can't reach the little segment of wire that they give you for the hoist. He couldn't reach it from down there, so we had to come up with a remote. But I tried that, copied exactly what he did. That didn't work either. So next is what I ended up doing, and it worked. One thing I have to give Joe White credit for is that he clued me in on using external relays or contactors to perform this. So basically I used the combination of what Mike H was doing and what Joe White was doing to come up with my own solution, and my solution worked for my setup. This is what I have come up with. This is the diagram that I created when I took the cable from the original hand controller from the Hoist apart, and it noted where all of these wires went on the double pole, double throw switch. What I've got here are two double pole single throw relays. They'll be controlled by this guy right here. Now when I went through testing and tried the remotes, the up and down triggered this terminal and this terminal. This one in the middle here is neutral or common. This is a hot out, and that's a hot out. That's 120 volts AC. And they will trigger these two relays. The center coils, or the center terminals here, are the trigger coils. Since these are single throws, double pole, I had to jump this one and this one together to basically create, taking two of these to make a double pole, double throw. And so I laid these out to where I created these labels to match what I see here. So the cable coming in, the red one will go to this terminal. Now this side, this will connect up to here. It's disconnecting. It's just not long enough to reach it with these things spread out like this. I laid them out like this so in my mind it's a little less confusing, because once I mount them to this guy right here, they'll be turned 90 degrees to each other, and the terminals don't line up exactly the way they appear here. And since I'm an idiot, I have to have things fairly simple. So I laid these things out just like this and labeled each of the terminals. Now this right here is a red jumper. That's this guy right here. And he will connect up to this red jumper here. So these labels right here are what connect to the wires coming in from the main cable. So my next thing is to lay these things out on the, mount them to this plate right here. This is the neutral terminal for the coil, and I think this one goes this way and this one will go this way, so these and these face each other, and these will be on the outside. These are the trigger wires that will connect to this pole and that pole. This guy will connect to that center terminal, which is the common or the neutral, and all this does is jump this one to this one, and that will complete that circuit. So I'm hoping that's going to work. My next thing will be to go up and plug these things in and see. Okay, this is what it looks like connected up on the base. And you can see that when everything was mounted to the plate, a bunch of stuff got turned upside down and backwards. And that would have been confusing for me. So anyway, that's where this works. I'm going to test it and see. Let's see, let's hook that to there. And where's the other one? Here's the other one. Hook this one up to there. Must be the other one. There we go. So the up, these two connect. Let's try the other side. Get my freaking finger out of the way so I can see it. Go away, ring time. That's the down, so this side's gonna work. Damn it, go away, ring tone. That's the down, and that works. I hit the up arrow. Wanted that trigger. I need to be on the other side, don't I? Yep, because I was on the neutral side. There we go. That's the down. So if you get on this side or this side, then it doesn't matter which relay you hit it, those are energized. But these right here, this is the independent pole and that's the independent pole. So the next thing to do is to hook that thing up on the hoist and see if it works. Hopefully I don't smoke anything. Okay, this is hooked up. The blue from the cable goes to the one I got labeled blue. White from the cable goes to the one I got labeled white. Black from the cable goes to the one I got labeled black. And red, let's see, red from the cable. Why do I don't need that there. Red has to go here. I almost screwed up. Pass that through. Get out the way. It's a little coolish up here. Okay, red. Red from the cable goes to red. Blue from the cable goes to blue. This was the original stuff that was a jumpered from here to the other side of the switch. All that's there. Okay. Now, that outlet is live. Okay, let's plug in our remote. I heard the controller beep. This right here is nothing. That was this was an AC cord that went to something that was a ground terminal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step down in case something explodes. I also need to see if that cable is tight. Well, I guess if it is, it'll okay. Ooh, it works. Whoops. Yep, that is working. Freaking awesome. So the other ways I had the thing wired up didn't work. This one does. This is what happens a lot of times when I try to listen to other people. But that's working. I'm happy. It works. Yep, that is working. Freaking awesome. So the other way I had the thing wired up didn't work. This one does. This is what happens a lot of times when I try to listen to other people. That's what